Airskillz Podcast.
What's up, family? It's your boy Malcolm Airbrush Assassin McCray. Welcome to another episode of the Airskillz Podcast with my co-host.
Lord Rudy.
There you go.
I
You
flushed
got
it. That's like a flush. You don't dunk and hang on the rim. You just throw it in like, ugh. That's what I just did, man. How you doing today?
I'm doing awesome, folks. What about
Man, you
yourself?
look awesome, folks. You look like you're going hunting, but at the same time, you might just be painting. I don't know what you're
Hey,
doing out
man,
there.
I'm doing both. It's like my camo slash urban camo. You know what
I
I'm
was
saying?
just about to say one thing's for sure. I know you made it. You know what I'm saying? That's for sure.
Little bleach, man.
Ooh, he
Art,
clean and mean at the same time.
You know what I mean? You
That's the
gotta,
blessing of being an artist. You could just wake up and grab something and be like, you know what? I'm gonna make this today. And the dopest part about it is can't nobody duplicate it because you
ain't
made
nobody duplicated, man. You gotta
you
be
put that
original.
in me. So I appreciate you for that, man.
Yeah, right
Look
on,
like we
man.
got an amazing show today, man. How was your week?
It was good, man. It was some challenges, but it was good. I'm
Right.
down here in the country on my land, so I've been working on
Say it again, but say it slowly because I like to just hear it. Folks.
okay. I'm on my land.
Mm.
I've been working on some we got the eclipse coming up. The solar eclipse, man. So if you don't know what the eclipse is, Google it. But pretty much the solar eclipse covers right through southern Missouri, southern Illinois, all across the
So
country.
you in the middle of it.
Yeah, man, we right in the middle of it. So I got people coming in from all over the country in RVs and different things. So we've been yesterday. I got a friend of mine. He got a big tractor, so we was clearing the land and doing that country living, man. You know what I'm saying?
Country living.
So
I got an announcement for you, and I ain't even get to tell you, folks.
yeah, go ahead, folks. Give me an announcement.
Probably about I'm gonna say 2 weeks because
Okay.
we like to say a week, but we always got to carry the one. So I'm gonna say 2 weeks from now.
Okay.
We was talking about the retreat.
Yep.
I'm gonna start pushing for that joint in 2 weeks. When I say pushing for it, I mean good dude is coming back.
Hello.
Good dude is coming back in 2 weeks, and it's gonna be geared. The whole first series of it is geared towards men's mental health and getting as many men possible to that land for the retreat, folks.
Right on, man. Tell the people a little bit about what we talking about, man, because you was there.
We just talking about one, giving men their flowers while they're here. 2, giving men an opportunity to see that they got a community that's going to help them build and grow and become their better self, and let them know that it's okay that in this community, it's okay not to be okay. But most of all, it's okay to have brothers around you to support you and help you grow through this journey. Not go through the journey, but grow through it, because that's the most important part, man. A lot of times we lay stagnant because we're trying to go through something. But if you're going through it with no destination, you're just going through it. And you're just going to continue to go through it. But if you got a community that's really there to help you build, grow, and see that it's okay not to be okay, it's a whole nother level, man. So I'm excited about it. Last year I'm glad we did it. To the extent we did it, because we did it with the foundation.
Right.
And now with the foundation that we have, those men that came for the first one can assist with the next one. So
right.
I'm excited about it, man. I made the decision. I said it's go time. We talked about it at the beginning of the year. So
yeah, man.
It's go time, man.
I was kind of, I didn't, we did it was about 2 years ago. Yeah. Something like that. It was like during my birthday, this and that. I pretty much called up a group of friends.
It was 2 years ago.
We hadn't got together in years. And we all kind of was going through just life journeys, that, black men deal with, the stress and different things. So I just decided to call up a couple friends, and man, everybody came from Rudy came in from Houston. We have Devon come in from Milwaukee. We had other people come in from all over the country, and we just chilled out for about 3 days, man, and just really got into nature. Some people camped out. We cooked outside, we just fellowshipped, we talked, we did a lot of laughing, and just really enjoyed ourselves, and just used nature as a tool to be able to heal some of the things and some of the trauma we've been carrying. We did a little spiritual cleansing as well. So it was just really powerful, and I didn't really realize how powerful it was until kind of afterwards with,
Right.
having some of the conversations with you and some of the other fellas that came together. So when you asked me about putting it together again this year, I was like, okay, yeah, let's make it work.
It's a must, man. The dopest thing about it for me, and then we could move on, was that we all went in without expectations,
Mm,
and we all left with growth.
mm,
It was just like, I can't even explain it, man. But it was beyond magical. And I said, it's especially in the state that the world is in right now,
right,
and the people that we know, it's beyond needed. It's a must.
right,
So
right, right,
I'm
right.
ready for it, man. I'm ready for it. What we got on the show for today, though?
Man, so I got a special guest. We've been talking. This is a person that's been like, man, supporting me from way back, man. When I dropped my first book, she had been
Yeah,
rocking with me. Just you got those core people that just rock with you.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know
yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah.
And this individual, especially some of the things that me and you have been talking about, I thought it was very important to share some other people that's in my tribe with the world. So we got Sister Phyllis. She's a therapist. She's gonna break it down. She's a therapist, but she says a clinical social worker, and she's gonna break it down to us. But we got her in the house, man. We're gonna be talking about some good things. Hey, there she go.
There she go, right there.
Hello, hey.
Welcome to the show.
Say hello, thank you. It's my pleasure.
Right on, right
Man,
on.
it's
So
an honor to
My
have you
pleasure.
here.
Thank you for inviting me.
yes, our pleasure. So how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Off to a great start. Yes, just excited about being able to share some things that will benefit others. Yes,
Come on now.
that
So
makes
tell
me
us a
happy.
little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your specialty, and kind of like what you do.
Well, I call myself a behavioral health clinician, a practitioner,
Okay.
which actually mean a therapist, but I like to use the practitioner and clinician more so than a therapist because that seems to be more accepted.
Mm-hmm.
Because such a
Wow.
stigma with mental health sometimes that I use that for that purpose. But
Okay.
I have a business called Golden Oasis Care that I'm the owner and CEO of, that I've been working in this field for over 13 years, but with families and individuals for over 20 years. So I've been out there for a little while, but as far as about 13 years.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, from that professional background, can you share about your journey in becoming a therapist? One, in the mental health tools, and then two, for me, because Malcolm put me on game. It's the difference between a therapist and a psychologist. So can you explain that for me? Because I didn't know that it was a difference.
Well, actually, because myself, I can do therapy and also diagnosis, but I can't prescribe medication. But I know with a psychologist, they have to have a doctor's degree. I have a master's degree.
Okay.
And that's
Okay.
some of the things that I know about it, the difference.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And as far as my journey, like I said, I've been doing this for over 20 years. And what I was doing is basically resource and referral and case management.
Okay.
Is what I did.
Okay.
And parent education, working with families and children, teenagers, and even elderly.
Okay. Were you doing
so
that
a
in
whole
like
variety.
group home settings?
I did group home settings, in-home settings, facilities, on the streets, wherever outreaching, did it all. I've been out there. I've been out there.
What
And so,
inspired you to go into this field?
okay, and for us, it's expanding my education and going deeper with my work is because I saw the revolving door. You give people resources and you refer them here and you refer them there. They come back. Okay, so we see your needs, we helped you get it. but it kept coming back. So something else is needed. So I wanted to go deeper. And to go deep, you have to have authority to do that. So I said, well, I needed some credentials and some recommendations to go deep into people's lives with their permission and see. Right. I'm going to just think about Malcolm for a little bit and see what has been painted that's not shown. Yes, because everybody has a painting going on in their head and in their lives that oftentimes is covered up, the masterpiece that's controlling our behavior. So that's what I do. I'm of the healing art.
Okay, that's amazing. I've been journeying for the last probably 2 to 3 weeks. For some reason, I've been looking at people saying that we're all a puzzle, and we all have our own pieces. And a lot of times, we try to take our pieces, put them in other people's puzzle. We try to put that puzzle together. Instead of putting our own puzzle together. But I realized after evaluating that it's not our job to put other people's puzzle together. It's our job to tell them how amazing the picture on the box is and allow them to put the puzzle together.
Right.
And it's our job to focus on our own puzzle. So for you to say that was like, wow, you let me know that I'm on the right track. So I appreciate that.
Yes, and it's true. And just to kind of close out in reference to my journey, I was more beginning to focus on transformation instead of just resource and referral, just see a true change from the inside out.
So when you say transformation, what are some of those tools that kind of, that you kind of focus in on when it comes to like transformation?
Well, from a therapeutic perspective, it's about, your mindset. But sometimes we're not even aware of where our mind is set. But with more so, even more so, the fact that we have the power to reset it.
What is that? So, like when you say reset it, is that like a behavior thing? How do we go about doing something like that?
Well, one of the things that I look at is what I call, and because it's a scientific evidence based, the cognitive cycle. What we think brings about the feelings that we have, and therefore initiate the behaviors that we present.
Hold on. Pause that. Bring that back.
Yeah, you got to bring that back all the way back. Listen, wait a minute. Say that slowly, please.
What I was saying, I was referencing the cognitive cycle, which is based on evidence, scientific evidence practice. And it consists of how we think, bring about the feelings that we have, which present the behavior that we present to others and to the public. It's based on what we're thinking and how we're feeling.
Right.
So when we start kind of asking ourselves the right questions, and when we start getting other people in our lives that can be able to help us kind of reflect on some of the decisions that we made, built around the way that we've been processing and thinking, how do we kind of use these tools to kind of correct, or do we say, or transform, so we can be able to, heal ourselves from some of these things?
Well, my first thoughts to answer that question is we have to be aware of what we're thinking, because we have to think about what we're thinking. Because sometimes we act on the environment or other people, but actually our reaction is based on what we have in our subconscious, and we refer to that as our core belief. We already have pre-thoughts, regardless of what other people are going to do or what they do, that we already have that core belief about situations, whether they're true or not.
And then that core belief kind of creates our reality.
And our responses, yes, and our thinking, it controls it. And so, but we don't question core beliefs. It's something that is part of our total being. Core beliefs are.
So if we were, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So if our core beliefs, that would be, if we were a computer, that'd probably be our motherboard.
You bet. And a lot of it come from your mother. Okay. And your father.
Right. Wow.
But it's the one who rocks the cradle. These days, it can go either way. So, yeah.
Wow.
And so sometimes it has to be reprogrammed. Not so much that it's wrong, but it doesn't work anymore.
How often should we be looking at if it's working or not, and what should we be asking ourselves if it's not working? How do we know?
Well, one thing about is are you getting what you want? So that's the thing. If you're not getting what you expecting, then it always needs to be evaluated, regardless whether it's a core belief or just average thoughts of the day.
And man,
when you say, go ahead, Matt. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Well, when me and you were talking a little earlier, you was talking about the non-spoken beliefs, right? They're not spoken, but
right, and that's core beliefs. They're not spoken. It's part of us. That's what our family does. That's how it's done. And,
okay.
In some
that's go. We saying that's this way Black folks do it. So we saying break it down to us one more time. You said it's not spoken, but we just kind of inherit this.
It's been passed on, and sometimes just from modeling, seeing it and not even spoken, but that's the way we do it in our family. Sometimes it's like that. Not so much as Black people, but in our family, in the South, whatever, in the North, whatever, factor they want to reference to,
And then from a family perspective, when you bring one aspect from one generation and one family side that learns something, and now you got a spouse that learned it totally different. You got to bring that together to recreate something
that's unique sometimes, but it's still can be right.
Right. What challenges have you faced in this field? Just from not even the professional aspect, but even for yourself, from a mental aspect.
Well, one of the things that come to mind is that you have to allow your whoever you're working with to have their self-determination. You can't say no. Well, a lot of times you hear people refer to the golden rule, which always sounds good.
Yeah, do unto others as you have them do unto you.
But here it is. What about the platinum rule? Like, do unto them as they would have you to do unto them, not what you want, but what they want.
I like that.
That's never heard it before. I'm gonna be honest, but I think we should focus on that rule more, because it's easier for a person to tell us what they want and what they need rather than us to think what, from my perspective, what they want and what they need. So now I'm working harder because I'm guessing. Yeah. But if they can tell me that,
right,
then I know if I can give it to them or not. So that's powerful within itself. So you basically just told me how you overcome those things. Do you have any healthy tools that you can give people that they can do on their own? I know before I got on here, you was saying that I just needed to sit down and breathe, because I literally just hopped off a flight, got here and sat in the chair, press record. So he was like, well, maybe we need to give him a second to breathe. So do you have any helpful tools that can help somebody that might not have that balance and might need those tools?
Yeah, because one of the breathing relaxations is one of the things I share with individuals and families that I work with. But there are other tools. I'm just going to kind of read off some just to be able to share with you. The cognitive cycle is one of them, because that's kind of the anchor that starts everything for change, and also to keep you where you are is the thinking. And then also I like to use the I statement.
What's that?
It's where, excuse me, it's part of the communication when we are not we're trying to express ourselves or share our point of view when we're not pleased. Instead of saying you always, you never, you do this, and you can reflect back and say, I feel disrespected when you ignore me when I call your name. because we agreed that we will sit down and talk about things. It'll make me feel better, and I appreciate it when we decide to talk, that you would just sit down and we can have a real conversation instead of walking while we're talking.
Yeah.
So so it's all about you, which is a good thing, not pointing fingers at them, because when you do that, blaming and complaining, and they oftentimes get defensive. Excuse me.
We was talking. Go ahead. We was talking also earlier. Did you have some other stuff on the list that you wanted to kind of?
Yeah, and I was just teaching, helping them to be aware of defense mechanism, thought stopping, cognitive distortion, personality styles, trauma-informed healing, physical stress triggers, positive affirmations, stages of grief, and also solution focus. I like to,
so you got a couple of those on that list, man.
That's what it just hit me. I was just about to ask, man. Not only about the triggers, but the you said what did you say about grief?
Stages of grief.
The stages of grief. What are those stages?
Well, usually start off with denial. And then you trigger into a stage of either guilt or either blaming. Either one. If you want it to be somebody else's fault, then you blame. But then if you feel like it's, want to personalize it, then you feel guilty. Yeah, and then you move on down to just kind of dealing with it. Sometimes leading to depression. Get depressed sometimes, and then until you all the way down to acceptance. But one thing while I'm here that I wanted to share later, but I go ahead and do it now if it's okay.
Go do your thing.
Is that grief is not only about the loss or either the passing of a loved one. Grief takes place even like if you have a long-term illness, you can start the grief process even before they die. And also, it could be a loss of any kind, a loss of relationship, loss of a job and finances, loss of abilities, becoming disabled. You grieve.
Wow.
So grief, yeah.
What's your thoughts about? You said something about trauma.
Trauma? It has to be looked at. It has to be looked at. It can be covered up. You have to face trauma.
Folks, what's your perspective of trauma? Now you didn't voice numerous opinions about trauma.
It's so much, but you always bring it back to life for me because it's hard for me for some people, but I see some people use that trauma and some people go find trauma. They don't just use it, they go find it because they want to be worry wars or they want to be in a position where they feel like I have to blame it on something. So let me find something in my past that I can blame this issue on and let me find something to work on. To me, trauma can be a distraction because if you're a spiritual person or if you're a Christian, if God forgot about it, why are you trying to go back and drum it up? He already brought you through it. But you going back to your childhood to figure out, no, I need to go back and I need to start from scratch and this and that. But some people can use that as a tool and some people could put that on their kids at times. So for me, trauma is like I don't understand it as much, and it's a personal thing. It's my perspective.
I hear what you're saying.
So that's what Malcolm is talking about. Because for me, it's like, why would I even want to go back there and I've already been brought through it?
Yeah. Well, if you have been brought through it, then trauma doesn't have a hold of you. So for those that not being able to move forward and they're stuck.
And now they're blaming somebody else for that.
Well, sometimes trauma doesn't consist of blaming. It's what has happened that has control over you that you want to be released from.
Right. So you have to find ways to be released.
Right. Well, you have to. Some people don't realize that their trauma is affecting their lives right now. They don't realize they're guided by it. They got it by their trauma, even when they deny it. And trauma can be put in the grief category too, because they're coming to denying. So there you go. Grief is everywhere if you don't realize it, just like fear.
Wow. She
So
hit me with so many gems and nuggets, mouth. It's like I done got a 20 piece right now.
Did you get fries in the soda? Was it?
I got that before I even got the nugget.
So, Phyllis, we was talking about a little bit, since we're talking about also men of color, black people, black men. You said something about while we talking about trauma, you said something about black men and the slavery residue. I love that term. I've never heard that. So break that down
to me.
Before she even break it down, if you don't do it, I'm doing it. That's going on the shirt, nigga. That's crazy. What? With the sprinkles?
Slavery residue. I never heard that. You say you coined that, fellas? Break it down.
I coined it. It may be someone else, but when I got it, it came from on high, so I got that.
We're gonna have to make sure she get credit for that joint, because that's something different.
Break that down for us.
Well,
you said specifically like black men or something. You were saying.
We had the conversation, and we was talking about core belief is what. And you said, well, give me an example of what that sounds like or look like. And I said, well, when one may say, you don't talk back. And you said, well, not to ones of authority. And I said, well, yeah, that too. But, and then I said, and some of that comes from slavery residue. You know, you don't talk back to the master or whatever. You just don't talk back. You just take it. But we all have opinions, and sometimes it's better than what's already the core belief that can make things even better. But if you won't speak up, then it always will be the same, and everybody suffer.
And then that work hard mentality, you know.
Oh, and you asked for maybe another one, if I gave another, but it was like one thing that some black men say, maybe more so would write it down, that I'm a hard worker.
Yeah.
And that's like, okay.
Man,
and that resonates off of just the mentality of always having to be looked at as a labor kind of perspective.
Right. You know, I mean, I'm not putting down that being a hard worker is not good, but is that your identity?
Right.
Of just being a hard worker? Who are you?
Right. Yeah. We've had this situation, conversation amongst me, Rudy, and then a large group of our friends who are entrepreneurs, and we kind of fell into this mentality. I would say maybe about, I guess we always been carrying it, but like the last 15 to 20 years, we started listening to a lot of this hardcore motivational self-help kind of guru kind of mentality where it's very sports kind of induced and very competitive, like work hard, push hard, keep pushing, keep grinding, this and that. And I noticed that in my own personal life that it was making me feel like I wasn't doing enough. And it kept me in this mindset of consistently trying to compete like a gladiator kind of mentality, or like you saying, like a workhorse kind of mentality of put your emotions to the side, and keep your head down. You know, we have this term, black men. Yeah, we have this term we tell each other, like, man, keep your head down. You know, and it's this mentality of like, forget your feelings, forget what you're feeling, and just push on through, because it's all about the grind. It's all about the hustle. And I started to feel in my heart, in my spirit, that didn't resonate with me as I got older, because there's no much more. How much more work can you physically do, you know, until you hit yourself?
Mal, it's funny that we've been talking about that, because we watched it for 10 to 12 years, and most of the people who are saying it, they going to teeter from grind to balance to just focus on the time and just be. So it
Mm.
it
Mm-hmm.
it for us, it went from trying to be that to kind of confusing us to us realizing the true value and the true essence of self and learning that it ain't about none of that. At the end of the day, it's about focusing on being present in the time that you have and being there rather than just because we Malk did it for what 10 years straight. You was on the road going crazy.
Yeah, I was pretty much all of my, my young adult life, leading up into, probably like my mid 30s. I had been constantly, I would say, conditioned as well, to just constantly be pushing and grinding. And when you're young, you got that energy, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really understand that it was becoming a detrimental to my mental health and my body and my physical perspective
Yep.
until the not sleeping. You constantly are grinding. Your mind isn't shutting off. You can't sleep. You are, you can't really be in really healthy relationships because you're not really committed. You know what I'm saying? Because you committed to this grind, this focus, this thing. And when you were saying that slavery residue, it brought me back into that mentality of just like you saying, like, you're like a horse, like you're bred to just keep working until you die, and
Mm-hmm.
specifically black men, we don't express ourselves
Nah,
emotionally. So we using the work as a coping mechanism to keep ourselves busy and to so we don't have to deal with the pain, the loss, the loneliness, and all of the things that we kind of deal with on an everyday level. So that's why I was really, really, I love that slavery residue perspective.
man,
Mm.
that right
Yeah.
there is
And when I listen to you talk, and then to actually, it's about, when you think about all that working, which, I want to just make it clear, we know we have to work, and we're not denying that, but I'm just saying, but even when a person took a break, it's just like, well, you're a slacker,
Right,
you're lazy,
right.
And then sometimes you look at somebody that's supposed to be, quote, supervising you. They're not working like that. And they're not and they're not supervising you for real. You're doing everything. They just got the title with the income.
Right,
And
right,
so,
right.
but yet if you look like you at peace, it's like, you're not doing anything, So what I teach and try to bring awareness to is more about being, you know,
Mm,
even in the present, shutting the mind down for a while,
mm.
realize what's in your head and what's pushing you and what's, really going on in your mind is going to show up in your environment and your behavior and your feelings. So,
hmm.
mm-hmm.
So what would you say some of the tools that we can use to kind of shut our minds down and kind of be in the
Breathing.
moment?
Use breathing as medication.
Mm. I'm writing my notes.
That's what I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing.
Yeah.
See breathing as medication without side effects. How about that?
Wow.
Mm.
I mean, it's evidence-based information, scientific, that the power of the breath, how it changed your chemical makeup within your body. So to say that it's like medication is really truth, because when you breathe and pull in that oxygen is medication, and when you pull it in, it reduces your cortisol, which is a chemical reaction. Medicine is chemicals in your body. It's reduced.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
And when I was speaking about the physiological triggers, being able to identify those trigger of stress, is that sometimes we don't know when it's going on, so we have to learn ourselves. We do that by being still and knowing.
Malk, ain't that what I say? That's the hardest thing for a man to do.
Mm.
Hardest thing for a man to do is sit still. Because if you got to sit still, that means you got to deal with it.
So Rudy, you said you had when you was in Milwaukee last, you had an appointment with Patrice, and what did she do?
Yeah, I was gonna tell you after this joint, man. We got to get her on because this is just it's beyond. It's amazing. She did I got a 90-minute regular massage, but she did a Reiki spiritual cleanser, and that was deeper than anything I've ever experienced. I can't even lie.
Wow, I can relate.
It was therapeutic on so many levels, but beyond being therapeutic for me, it was therapeutic for her because she saw stuff and felt stuff in me that I didn't even know was there.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me, that's what I told her. She told me, like, you need to put some of this stuff down. From just the responses that I got from your body. If you don't put it down, your body's gonna put you down. Pretty much what she said. So
that is truth.
That was like, just to go from that to talking to Phyllis, I'm like, yeah, it's different. Different, and it just opened up a lot more questions and a lot more things that you realize that you're dealing with and that you got to go through, not just as a human being, but as a man, especially as an African American man, because we feel guilty for taking breaks.
That's slavery residue
we sit down and it's like, I should be doing something. I need to find something that I'm doing. I need to. That should never be the case. Like, if you rest is rest, but with all the technology that we got, it puts us at a disadvantage because just like when I put my phone down, the apps are still running in the background. Those apps are still running in my mind too when I lay down. So those breathing mechanisms, that when you said breathing is medication, it really is, because it slows everything down.
And then you can actually hear.
Yeah.
You can hear when you empty your head, and you can hear what needs to be said.
Phyllis, how have you seen social media play a role in mental health? Good or bad?
Well, I think it's good because that's what pushed me into opening up my own business, because when COVID came and we went remote, I liked it and it was good. And it worked with the people I was working with. I'm just like, I like this, and plus, you can put your information out there easier and people can find it when you have it out there. and that way they don't have to go to an office. They can just do it where they are, and it gets more private as far as doing therapy, with technology and the internet. And so I think it's a lot of advantages.
Yeah. Did you find any disadvantages? Because I did.
Tell me about it.
Well, from my generation and my perspective, I'm more of an in-person person. And I worked in the medical field for 10 years. And what I noticed is that the younger generation, especially I did behavioral health for almost 14 years. I was a life skills director at a group home for boys, and I also did behavioral health at Texas Children's Hospital, where I had 17 psychiatrists, 17 psychologists that I scheduled for. I noticed the disconnect because some of them was there just for the currency, not really to help. But I noticed that the more mature and older psychologists were really there because they had value and they showed empathy and they showed what we're used to seeing from a nurturer and from somebody who's genuinely in it, not for the currency, but for the betterment of the person.
Right.
From this generation now, especially, it's typically currency. Like I told Malk, like I talked to a lot of therapists before, and I had this inkling in my mind, like, I wonder if this person, if they weren't receiving a payment from me, would they talk to me on the street? Would they have a conversation? So is it just a transactional thing, or is it actually you trying to do the work?
But see, one thing, because I hear what you're saying, and it definitely makes sense, is that you have to have your heart in it, your heart, and because one of I call him my mentor. He said, the work is not hard but it's about the heart. And that's where you get the outcome that the people you're working with want. So, and some people will use the theories and the models and all of that scientific, information, but yet there's no connection with the person they're working with. So it's not going to have the same outcome. You have to, when I say it's a healing art, it's because you have to know how to connect the dots. You have to hear what's not being said, and you have to hear what's really being said.
You got to connect those
you
together.
saying those words.
Excuse
me? I didn't realize, just what you saying those words, I didn't realize how much heart and hard kind of sound the same.
It's hard and the heart. So you got to be with the heart. It's a work of the heart.
Right.
And so if that's missing, you're not going to get the same outcome.
Right.
I got a question from one of the viewers, Michelle Jackson. She wanted to know how do we deal with guilt of setting boundaries? The guilt of setting boundaries.
Well, when you set a boundary, if you really set it, there's not that much guilt. I mean, guilt is a feeling that comes from what you're thinking. And a lot of times what you're thinking is about what they're thinking, which you don't need to be thinking about what they're thinking. You need to be thinking about why you said it. And so if you stop thinking about what someone else is thinking about you saying it, you'll be cool.
Right.
Man.
And one thing I want to emphasize, that one of the ways that helped me heal is to avoid thinking about what the other person is doing and not doing, or what they're going to think, and focus on what I want. See, now that carries a slight slavery residue also, because to think about what you want is like, how dare you?
Right.
But all along, other people are thinking about what they want. That's why they want you to do what they want you to do instead of what you think is right. So
I like that. So tell us, so the name of your company is, what's the name of your company?
Golden Oasis Care.
Hello. Love it. So tell us a little bit about what that means and why you chose that name and so on.
Well, one of my calling is to work with seniors. And so I found myself working with children and youth and a variety of people. And I was like, okay, let me look at this picture. And so what I found out, that as I work with seniors, they end up having their grandkids. And so, because my background is in developmental psychology. And so I found that it was a glue, working with seniors and those that have their grandkids, and also working with the overall population. But that's how they came into play with the golden. And then golden, how much, that's like the high level. And so that I kept it because I'm serving all, and golden service, that's the high level. And then Oasis is to make it refreshing, to refresh their lives.
Beautiful.
To find a refreshing drink of life. A new wine, if you will. Yep. So, like I say, those core beliefs, though, we can't drink out of the old wine skin because it doesn't work anymore.
Right.
If we told our kids today, be seen and not heard, we're behind. That was protection from slavery.
Yeah.
Everybody else was talking. I'm saying all the other kids was talking, and we was trying to sit down, put your legs and hands, and just be still, And just we want to be free too.
Right. I know as an artist, I run into that a lot as a free thinker. It's that's probably one of the most things that frustrates me. Is as an artist, you always are looking on what the possibilities could be, and a lot of the times we spend a lot of our energy trying to create things that are against the grain, that are going against the grain. So anytime you doing things that are different and going against the grain, you have this sense of like everybody is going one way and you going the opposite way. And that was one of the things that you was talking about earlier about the faith of being able to just know when it's time to jump out there and have the courage and everything, with that perspective. So you talking a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I was referencing that, having faith is not knowing it all, having all knowledge about what you're trying to do. You don't know all, but that's what makes it faith. It's the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Faith is your evidence. And you have that confidence to make that move. Yeah.
So based on go ahead, Ru, you got one?
No, man.
So kind of based on your experience and everything, is there anything else that you would like to give some tools to individuals that can be able to help them maintain good mental health?
Well, one thing I would say, if you seek and ask and access help and support, that takes courage. And that takes self-determination. And it's a good thing.
Yeah.
And I just hope that the stigma behind mental health services be reduced and be dismantled.
Tell us about that stigma.
That if you go get help, you're crazy. And that's, I must say, that has a slavery residue also, because that's how they would control some of the ones that try to leave and say that they was, had mental issues and restrain them and lock them up.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not going to say I have it. They might get me.
Right. Right.
They might lock me up.
Well, man, this has definitely been an eye. Yeah, what you say?
I'm over here pure gluttony. I'm full, man. I'm over here like.
Yeah, this has been beautiful. I feel like, with everything that's going on with the world, a lot of my closest friends, individuals that I consider brothers, everybody is, not everybody, but a lot of us are dealing with a lot of pain, a lot of confusion, a lot of unrest. And to be able to have somebody as important as you to be able to come in and bring some light really makes a big difference. So I just want to say, Phyllis, thank you for all the work that you've been doing and you continue doing, because I think, how long ago did we meet?
About 12 years, 13 years ago. Yeah.
Exactly. And I was down in Sykeston.
Yes, Sykeston, Missouri.
But one of my books, and we ended up meeting. And since we had this podcast, I definitely wanted to. Mental health has been a consistent conversation that we've been having within the last year. Rudy, would you say?
2
years.
3, because it was before the retreat.
Right. And I know, Rudy, you personally have, kind of, talked to a lot of men, from committing suicide and doing kind of reckless things in their life.
Yeah. It's been ugly, man. We're not okay. And we need a space to where we feel like we can be okay, especially in relationships. I know a lot of guys who just mentally have been going through stuff with women in relationships, and it's like they're finding reasons to stay because that's what men do. We try to figure out a solution, and the women are finding reasons to leave rather than stay, focusing on the weak attributes or the lesser than, rather than focusing on the good. My father recently died, and that's what I spoke about at his funeral. Like, we got to focus on the good, because if we did that while people were here, they'd probably be here a little longer. But like you said, he worked himself to death at the end of the day. I know that's what he did, and that's what I'm trying to get out of doing. But I'm so used to and conditioned to doing it, I don't know how to not do it. So it's a what do you call that? It's a something. It's a learned behavior. A learned behavior that I have to
It's a core belief. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what the grandfather, parents did, and now, and so on, just generational things. And I just want to say, there are some genetic trauma that we deal with that's within our DNA that hasn't been looked at. When you look at, like, I think you was talking about some future on looking at mental health, and that's one of them need to be looked at. It's genetic trauma, DNA trauma.
That's a whole different conversation. The deeper you go with it, it's part of that what you call it, that's slavery residue, because that's where it comes from. That's where well, that word, every time I hear it, it's like
So hey, we got to shake this stuff off.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's the pain right there. That's the pain right there.
That is.
It has to be looked at. It has to be looked at, identified before you can get rid of it. Because sometimes you don't know why you do what you do until you kind of go back, not to dig up the trauma with blame and complaining, but to identify and be desensitized from it.
So Phyllis, what's some how would people get in contact with you if they need some more resources or want to be able to get in contact with you for some services?
Yeah, one thing that I want to emphasize before I share that is that since the pandemic, there is some new perspective in looking at mental health, and that more people are saying, okay, yeah, I have anxiety, I have depression. I work with people that experience anxiety, depression, in various situations, regardless of what caused it. But the thing is that they develop a national toll-free number, like a hotline number, is 988 for mental health. 988. It can be for crisis. It can be for whatever. It can be for in the moment support. 988.
Great. That's good. Somebody was just asking, like, what's a basic resource that they can use, for Black men?
988.
Okay, great.
And as far as my personal contact, I have a phone number, but the best way to I can follow up with you is through my email for my business, and that is Golden Oasis Care LLC at gmail.com.
Golden Oasis Care LLC at gmail.com.
Correct.
Okay, definitely.
But my number, I'll be pleased to leave it as well, and that is 573-703-6119.
You're gonna be blowing up. And my sister in the comments right now, like, you got a Black therapist in your, and did you know, and you ain't tell nobody about it? Like, your phone definitely gonna be blowing up. So one more time, area code 573-703-6119.
Correct.
Okay, and then email address is goldenoasiscarellc at gmail.
Correct.
Okay. Man, Phyllis, thank you so much.
Anything
else you would like to say before you leave out? I know you dropping those jewels. We all thirsty for knowledge. So is there anything else before we leave out?
Well, if I left a statement to just ring in the ear and the mind, it would be focus on what you want, not what you don't want. Even if it's a reality in your life, because whatever you focus on, you're going to get more of it.
Okay. And anybody that needs Phyllis's information, you can contact me. I definitely will be posting it in the comments as well. And then we're going to be taking this recording, and then we'll be putting it on YouTube as well, and it'll be inside the comments as well. So, Phyllis, thank you for your continuous support. You always are right there for me. Anytime that I'm just blinking or if I'm going through something, all of a sudden I'll get an email or a text from you just to check in throughout the years. I don't care if I'm in Africa or wherever I'm at. Like, yeah, that's my my spirit. I have a coalition of women, elder women in my life that's like spiritual mothers. So, you know, I consider you as one of my spiritual mothers that's always been there for me, giving me some of that good advice and that good love. So continuously, and thank you for everything that you do.
All right. Well, I feel honored.
Man, that's amazing.
Rudy, you got anything you want to say before we leave out?
Man, I'm still full, brother. I'm still on the slavery residue. So
Hey, shake it off.
Hank, that's man, that's different.
Well, everybody, thank you for tuning in to Airskillz Podcast. Thank you for your continuous support. Like, share. You know somebody out there that needed to hear this message, and we will continue on to the next one, man. Peace and love, family.
Airskillz Podcast.